Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the place to be on a Monday night. Monday Night Lights. We're here for round 7 live from the Circuit of the Americas, COTA, the West layout. And joining me once again is Mr. Tim Awema, the Golden Stig. Stiggy, what are we up for tonight?
Well, welcome Alex and welcome viewers, and let's rug up for a nice cold winter's night here. But in COTA, we're in a beautiful balmy 24 degrees with a track temp of 24, and we're in for an exciting night of racing. These guys in the top split are really out to bring it on tonight, and looking at our entries, we've got some really big players in tonight. Bill Fraser's come out and he wants to really take out that top position with a soft tonight of 34.65. So it's quite a good soft for tonight's racing, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely it is, Tim. Of course, it's right up there with the top couple of the week. In fact, last race and this race, as in the one just preceding this, was the top two of the week because, quite frankly, the drivers have voted with their feet, and not many have turned up this week to race this unusual configuration of Circuit of the Americas. But once again, the club racing that comes out to support the Monday Night Lights is out again in force, with some of our local regulars as well as some of our international regulars coming to support us once again and put on a great show. I'm just having a look at Enzo Cantor, of course, multiple season winner, both Monday Night Lights and official season, along with Tim Hendrickson, who's out to put on another good show for Team Orange and Blue, and Håkon Grebstad, another overseas contender, with Ben Snell on camera at the moment, and Luke Whitten also out there qualifying at the moment. They're looking to lead the ANZ charge, of course. And speaking of the charge out there tonight, let's bring up our season standings so far. Bill Fraser, who of course won this series last season, he's well and truly out in front, 152, with Ben Snell, who we were just talking about before, leading the local charge in P2, with Simon Dopp in third, just behind him. Great to see Jason Willman in fourth and Kevin Henderson, our two longest standing or most participated drivers as far as Monday Night Lights go. Those two barely missed a race between them. So they're your top 5 drivers, and most, if not all, are out there tonight, at least in this split. Yeah, I can see pretty much all of them out there tonight, with the exception of maybe Jason. He might have been relegated, I'm not sure. But certainly looking forward to a great night on track tonight, Tim, even if it is this quite unusual layout of COTA tonight.
Yes, and look, as we're coming and setting some laps on the qualifying, and at the moment it looks like Ben Furhoff setting a 1:43.956 to currently take provisional pole, but there's still cars driving around, and it's set for an exciting night. This track layout, I had a little bit of a test drive the other night on it just to see what it was like, and I'm not a big fan, but a lot of the drivers like this twisty, challenging circuit, which makes for a really technical track. And some very close driving tonight. It should be a very exciting race, Alex.
Yeah, should be, Tim. Looking at some of the times, they're great to see Ben Furhoff sitting provisionally on pole. It's been a while since we've seen Ben as a regular. We know he's got a lot of pace, and if he can match that with consistency tonight, he'll be right up there with the front runners, putting Tim Hendrickson provisionally at least in P2. We know what sort of pace he's got, and Enzo Cantor yet to set a time, perhaps picking up an incident point in his first time round and seeing what he can do in his second lap. Incident points could well be the talk of the night here, because the track limits here are pretty strict, and with the technical nature of the track, as you mentioned, Tim, the drivers will be, well, they'll be up with a challenge just to stay in the race. Incident points here, folks, are determined by car contacts, loss of control, and exceeding the track limits. Exceeding the track limits 1, loss of control 2, and car contact 4. Incident points. You get a 17 total before you get disqualified. Now, you and I, Tim, we were watching the different splits of the races just gone by, and I think I saw 4 drivers disqualified, if you can believe that, folks. Very technical track, and not only is there an incident point lurking at every corner, there's some pretty significant slowdowns as well, Tim.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And just as we finish the qualifying there, Bill Fraser, with about 3 seconds left, has completed a lap and set a 1:43.7 to take provisional pole. So he was leaving it to the last moment there, folks.
He absolutely was. In fact, it's not just provisional. He's taken out pole here tonight. I remember he had a great run here last season and certainly starting off in the right fashion. Ben Furhoff leading the ANZ charge there in second. Third, Tim Hendrickson for Team Orange and Blue with Ben Snell, another local boy in P4. Fifth tonight will be Carlos Fenner from Iberia. Sixth tonight will be Enzo Cantor. We know he's got some pace. We'll be interested to see how he navigates this course. Seventh will be Håkon Grebstad from Scandinavia. John Scholes, Team Venom Racer, number 1 in P8. Luke Witten, another former series champion here, starting from P9 tonight. P10 will be Mark Kerr, another local boy. Great to see so many here tonight. P11, Kevin Henderson, once again cranking out another cap for the Monday Night Light, starting in P11. P12, Simon Dopp, currently third in the championship, starts out in the points tonight. P13, Simon Chambers, runner of and owner of the Australasian Super Skips, managing to get a run in the top split. And also starting in P13, P14, Russell Clark racing for Team Milo. P15, Brad Parkin rounds out your field tonight, folks. As we wait for the guys to get underway, Tim, thoughts on the race tonight? Who's your odds on to win it?
Oh, geez, with the current form, I'm going to have to say Bill Fraser, but with such a technical track tonight and close driving, anyone's race, watch out for Tim Hendrickson. I think he's the next driver that I'll be putting my money on.
Yeah, I think those two will be the ones to watch. I agree. We'll be seeing 15 laps tonight as the flag starter gets ready. Red lights are on, folks. The revs are raging. And we're away for lap 1 of 15 here tonight, or 14 I should say, as they all race over to take a defensive line on the inside and then snake their way up to turn 1. This big field of 15 here tonight, looking to navigate this really technical turn 1, one of many corners here tonight with you could be described as technical with Ben Furhoff. He's tucked into P2, I should say, with Bill Fraser leading from the front once again as they snake through this first series of S's. What a great shot that is. It just really tells you what I mean by S's through these first... as we've got Ben Snell is that around early on. We might grab a look at that if we can. Yeah, just recovering now. Let's see what happened there if we can. So we can't grab it on the replay. Ben, who's he got there behind him? Car number 5, Carlos Fenno. See if I can get a better shot of that, sorry. Let's see here. Carlos Fenno, car number 5, just in behind him. Looks like he's just carried a bit more speed. Oh, and Ben's caught the silent cop there and just caught Carlos in the rear as well. He'll be on for a recovery drive tonight, that's for sure, Tim.
Yeah, and what a start. And just before that, on the first corner, we had an incident between what it looked like was Simon Dopp and Russell Clark. And Russell's struggling to drive around, and Simon's just getting onto the back of the pack now as we come around on this first lap and head down towards the start-finish line with Bill Fraser just driving a beautiful drive at the front, followed by Ben Furhoff and Tim Hendrickson as we lead in onto the start-finish line now. Nice drive by Bill. He's taken the comfortable start, especially in the first corner. It looked like he was going to get turned on the inside, but he went on the outside, played the beautiful line, and as they pass the start-finish line now, they're all settling into that beautiful pack as we head in for the second lap, Alex.
Yeah, they're rounding turn 1 now, Tim. I'm just riding on board with Jim Hendrickson at the moment, carrying the car number 1 plate tonight, top-rated driver in the field. Of course, when I say top-rated, folks, iRating is the skill points in iRacing. Determines not only what number you wear in each race, but which split you're in. We've got 2 splits tonight, back to at least 2 after last week, just having the 1 at Sonoma, of course. But Tim working hard to stay in touch and attack this front pack. Interestingly, they've got a gap now over Enzo Candy. You can just see trailing in the background, car number 3, as he comes through the tight back section now as they head through this very challenging layout now that turns back in on itself as they heads around turn 13 and 14 now. Enzo is about 1.3 seconds behind in this back section of the circuit and out of draft range, which is interesting because Enzo's got a bit of pace around here, perhaps being a bit more conservative, as he was one of those 4 drivers who was disqualified earlier tonight from memory, and he'll be looking to rectify that this race, no doubt, Tim.
Yeah, and I think if we look at the moment, the top 3 are playing a very smart race. They're not trying to battle for position. It looks like they're just trying to get that gap for away from Enzo, and currently in 4th, and really start to open it where they can at the end challenge for position. And by doing this, Enzo's really struggling to hang on, and hopefully he can hang on and make a good 4-way race, but I believe they've got a mission up front just to keep the top 3 and play a very strategic race as we go in now. Start of the 3rd lap, Alex.
Oh, Ben might have out-tricked himself there. He went to show the nose a little bit for Hov in P2. He might have just, tell you what, might have just opened the door a little bit for Bill Fraser, who's got a ton of pace around here, we know. And he had a look up the inside and then tried to duck back out the outside and lost the rear a little bit. Hung on to it well enough, but tell you what, Hendrickson won't be happy if that's cost them the front pack. Just jumping behind, there's a bit of a, well, he is, I think that was Whitney in the background sending it wide. He's carrying a bit of damage on the rear already, might have copped a bit of nose to tail damage. There's a long snake of cars heading down this shortened version of the back straight. With Håkon Grebstedt on the front of this, just tucked in behind Carlos Fenno, who's in P5 at the moment, and he's just that little bit out of draft range from Enzo Cantor, who himself seems to be back on this pack of 3 now, trying not to let Bill Fraser get away. Yes, Enzo's in touch now. He's down about half a second and looking to set the cat amongst the pigeons in this leading group, Tim.
Yeah, maybe he's playing games with us there, Alex, but yeah, he has jumped onto the back of that pack now, and he will be smelling a position in the 2nd or 3rd. Don't know if they're going to hang on to Bill. Bill's an exceptional driver, and he looks like he's just going to drive away at the moment, but this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th is really going to heat up, and as we go back, we've got a real tussle between Luke Whitney and Kevin Henderson. I see a change of position backwards and forwards there, and it's really heating up in that lower pack as well, where 5th and 7th are together, and we've got 8th and 9th as a little battle pack, and as we move further down the order, there's more little battle packs just forming. But it looks like Enzo's just taken over from Ben Furhoff there, it looks like.
Yeah, there's a bit of contact there as we jump back up there. The front to rear wheels of Enzo and Ben Furhoff. Enzo really looking to stamp his mark on this race as they come through the snaking sections of turn 3 to 6 now. Of course, this is another US track where they've got the shortened layout, and we go from, if you can believe it, folks, turn 6, miss a few, turn 12. They're heading down the shortened back straight now, as we said, into turn 12, with Ben Furhoff now staring at the rear of Enzo Cantor, as we jump on board with Ben now, leading Aussie in this pack, in this race, of course. Ben's no stranger to Monday Night Lights. We've seen him frequently in the past. It's just been a bit of an hiatus, shall we say, as he makes his return tonight and looking to make a good fist of it, Tim.
Yeah, and look, it's good to see that when you've got returning drivers and they've really come back to give it a good crack in the Monday Night Lights. But as we end up going down now, it looks like Bill Fraser, he's packed his bags again. He's on another vacation, and I hope they guys can 2nd, 3rd, and 4th can catch up to Bill and really make this another exciting race. We don't want to see Bill drive off every race. It wouldn't be a good broadcast if every single time he's driving off into the blue yonder looking for his next holiday, Alex.
Yeah, well, can I tell you, it just goes to show you what sort of category this is, when one small mistake can really cost you any chance, potentially. You know, these guys were really hanging on tooth and nail with Bill Fraser there. Ben Furhoff went to have a cheeky little look, made a little bit of a zig and then a zag into turn 1, and suddenly that was enough, and we said it at the time, for Bill Fraser to get a bit of a sniff, and he's just capitalised. Hendrickson couldn't wait any longer. He needed to have his shot to see if he couldn't bridge that gap, and now Enzo has gone past Furhoff as well, and he's looking to put pressure all over Hendrickson. Now, they need to be careful. They need to get themselves sorted out. We're on lap 5 of 14 now, balance of 10 remaining. They need to get themselves sorted if they really think they've got a shot at winning this race. Otherwise, as you said, Bill Fraser, he's just going to walk away with it. Just ducking behind now, about nearly just over 2.5 seconds behind. We've got this battle between Carlos Fenno and Håkon Grebstad, closely followed by John Scholz for Team Venom Racing, just sitting in behind there. These guys are battling all the way down 5th through 7th and putting on a good show. As Carlos there, he's taking an interesting line, forcing Grebstad, who had the good run out of that quarter there. He's having to sort of adjust his line as Carlos Fenno is making his car 3 widths to what you compare to a normal drive, and it's really also showing what sort of variety and options you've got as far as taking these corners and maintaining some pace, although he did look to sort of defend pretty strongly when Håkon had the run there, and Scholzi all the time sitting behind as we hop on board with him now. He's tucked in behind Håkon now, looking to take advantage at every opportunity, and good to see one of your fellow Team Venom racers up there near the front, Tim.
Yeah, it is good, and Scott's really performing well this year, and it's good to see the guys up there. And we've also got Simon, and although Brad Parkin doesn't display the colours in the race, he is our enduro driver for Venom, and it's good to see the 3 of them in there tonight. But up the front of the pack, we've still got an exciting race. It doesn't look like they're bridging the gap on Bill. It's sitting around about the 1.69 to 1.8 seconds gap, but it looks like the Enzo and Tim Hendrickson are really just sticking together, not trying to battle for position, so they can at least try and bridge that gap.
Yeah, at the same time, they've got just a fraction over a second's gap over Ben Furhoff in 4th, and it looks like he might have run his race early if he's not careful, ruining that one little cheeky look into turn 1 that we've spoken about a couple of times already, because he's now just over that magic 1 second mark. And the skippies, of course, have about a 1 to 1.1 second range in the draft, and this track, I'll tell you what, if you don't quite have the pace of the guys around you and you lose that draft, it's all over. As we can always see, Bill Fraser almost checked out now with a 1.8 second gap as Hendrickson leads the international charge, trying to chase him down with Ben Furhoff now. Again, just at the outside that 1 second range, and probably, unless he gets a wriggle on, he'll struggle to hold on to this front back, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. And when we're looking at the fastest lap of the event, it's Bill Fraser at a 1:43.2. So not only is he out the front, he is really putting on that pace. He wants to make sure of this victory tonight. But as we head back down further in that pack order, we're still Tim Hendrickson, then followed by Enzo Cantor, and then followed by Ben Furhoff. Now that gap between Enzo and Ben is increasing slightly, but the gap back to Carlos Fenno is still at about the 3 second mark. So Ben's still driving quite well to hold off the guys in 5th, 6th and 7th to come up and battle him.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always known Ben to have some good pace. It's just whether or not he can put it all together on the night. Had a good crack at it early on. Great qualifying. Just looks like he might need to gather his thoughts and put his head down and see what he can do from here. But Håkon Grebstad still putting all sorts of pressure over Carlos Fenno here. He, as they snake through this back section of turn 13, 14 once again. This track, it intrigues me, this section of the track where it folds back on itself time after time. It's like they don't want two lefts in a row or two rights in a row. It's left, right, left, right. It's like you're marching in formation almost. But these guys, look, taking on this challenging layout as it is and putting on some great battles for us here tonight, folks, with cars 4 and 5. Håkon Grebstad now, look, he's taking a nice wide line. No, look to poke the nose. This sweeping penultimate corner here as you run down to the final corner. It's a potential shot if you want to have a look, but Håkon most likely saving himself for the run up to the top of the hill into turn 1 as we ride on board with Håkon Grebstad now. Really poke the nose up the inside here. No, Carlos Fenno looking to take a defensive line to rule that shot out. But you know what, Tim, I've seen it done from the outside before. You can get a good drive around here depending. In fact, he has. He's driven right around the outside there, used the draft to full effect. He needs to maintain that drive out of the corner lest he gets under attack later in this early part of the lap, but that was a great move by Hawkon there, and Carlos, not much he could do about it there by the looks, Tim.
No, that was a fantastic move. If you can't take it on the inside, drive a beautiful line on the outside, and that's what he's done well. Now it's just up to Carlos just to hang in behind like Hocklin was doing to him, and do the same thing, draft on the start-finish straight away, and see how it goes. Oh, slight mistake there by Carlos. Nearly lost that position to John Scholz, but John Scholz just sits in behind. And as we move up behind, I'm just checking that gap with 1.5 seconds out from Ben Verhoff to Enzo. So Ben's not being able to bridge that gap at all, and he's staying, you know, outside of draft range, but he's hanging easily onto that 4th position tonight.
Yeah, well, they're coming to the tail end of lap 8 now. When they cross the line shortly at the end of lap 8, just the 6 remaining as they approach that final corner once again. Cantor looking content to sit behind, tucked up behind Tim Hendrickson there, although he took a very nice line through there. He might well have a good run here. Why don't we just hop on board and see what he does with it? Yeah, look, he pulls to the inside now. There's Hendrickson. He drops back and perhaps tucks it behind now. Just take advantage of what he can sitting behind Enzo. Enzo doing a fantastic job after qualifying not up as far up the order as he would have liked. He's worked his way through, now up 4 positions, which in this sort of field is a fantastic effort and showing his chops here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, definitely, and a nice draft manoeuvre up the straight there for Enzo, and wonder if Tim's just going to allow Enzo to control the pace a little bit up the front, or is Tim really going to try and battle away? But it looks like Tim's putting pressure on. It's unlike Tim to stay back without those elbows out. Oh, it looks like, I think Enzo's just had a slowdown actually. He's let Tim Hendrickson through, and that's the only thing I can think of if he's dropping off that quickly, Alex.
Yeah, 100% slowdown it was. Hendrickson put all sorts of pressure. Oh, as he gets rid of it, then hops straight back into the action. Goes right up behind Ben in no uncertain terms. That was a slowdown for all money. Yeah, it was apparent to see Hendrickson was putting all sorts of pressure all over him, and unfortunately, Cantor ran just a little bit wide as he went to take the final left-hander out onto the short and back straight, and just got the slowdown there. And you can see, spoke about it before the race, what sort of an impact that can have. Now, as we jump back down the field, just looking on Luke Whitten, who we mentioned before, carrying some damage, as you can see on the rear of his car. He's all the way back down in P10, not the end of the field that we're normally used to seeing Luke at. He's hoping to progress, I would imagine, from here. He's just sitting behind Mark Kerr, who's no slouch himself, just within that 1 second gap. But with about 5 laps remaining, as Bill Fraser's just crossed the line now, why don't we run through your field, see where everyone's at. Bill Fraser, of course, out in front by just under 3 seconds now. I thought he had 3 before, but he's down to 2.9 seconds ahead of Tim Hendrickson in P2. P3, as we mentioned, is Ben Verhoff, who's fighting tooth and nail now with Enzo Cantor after grabbing that slowdown previously. Håkon Grebstad sitting in P5. He's in a battle with Carlos Fenno, that we've seen for the most of the race here tonight, folks, with John Scholz tucked in just behind in P7. Kevin Henderson in P8, up 3 spots after not qualifying perhaps where he would have liked. He's about 3.7 seconds off the back of that battle, with John Scholz ringing up the tail of that one. Mark Kerr and Luke Whitten, that we were just talking about before, they're in P9 and P10 respectively. Simon Chambers looking to pick up some handy Monday Night Lights points. He's down in P11 with Ben Snell driving the air-conditioned version of the Skippies tonight. He must have had another incident to the one we saw earlier on. He's down in P12, and he'll be the last point scorer of Monday Night Lights tonight. Just behind him, Simon Dopp, currently 3rd in the championship, if I'm not mistaken. He's sporting a bit of damage, even if he has got the beautiful Team Venom Racing livery on. He's in P13. Brad Parkin, another Team Venom racer, he's in P13, with Russell Clark rounding out our field of 15 at the moment, folks, with just the balance of those 5 laps remaining as we jump back up to the front to find Bill Fraser leading from the front once again.
Oh, yes, what an amazing race by Bill. 3.3 seconds roughly is the lead now, and apart from any mishaps that he may have, it looks like he's going to take the points here tonight, Alex. But that just makes for some great racing as we go back down the pack, and it's really between Enzo and Ben Verhoff now. Enzo got a beautiful drive out of that first corner, but there's not much you can do when you're going through what we like to call the wiggly bit and T, turn 3, 4, 5, and as we head up to turn 6 to cut across to turn 12. It's a very hard area to do anything. You've really just got to stay on the game, stay in the draft where you can, because as we now come down this little back straight area, it's time to start thinking about your manoeuvres. Looks like Enzo's just about to do that. Looks up the inside, going tight into the stadium section, but he's not going to get the run into turn 13 and 14, it looks like, and Ben will hold on, Alex.
Yeah, great driving by both there. Good racing respect there. I think Enzo had a great run, and Ben really defended hard as Enzo takes a narrow line there as they head around the final corner now to cross the line at the tail end of lap 11. What will Enzo do here? Is he... Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm in the wrong section of the track all of a sudden. Now they're heading around to the tail end of the lap now as they come down to the penultimate corner here. I was expecting to see Enzo draft up that first straight as they cut that corner nicely there. There's no slowdown there. I've seen people take more out of that one, but right on board with Enzo now. What can he do on the run up to turn 1 now? Again, takes a big chunk out of the final corner, using all the track as they head through there on the exit of that final corner, and Enzo now using all the draft. Ben Verhoff taking a nice tight defensive line, leaving him. Oh, I tell you what, I was about to say leaving him nowhere to go, but Enzo, he looks to find a way through, and he gets. Oh, that's a big contact there as we see them really making a combined mess of that corner between them. Enzo looking for every bit of track, and then we'll just grab a replay there and see what we can see. See that whole show again as they rounded that final corner there, folks. You see if we can't get a good look here. Enzo sticks in. He's got a good run out there. The draft starts to kick in. So we see Ben move over to the left-hand side of the track to take a defensive line. Enzo looking to cut really to the left where there is no track, and Ben moved to cover him off. Tell you what, and then compromised line for both of them. Enzo swings out to the right to come the faster line through there, and no room for both cars in that spot. Ben really parked it on the apex there. Didn't have a lot of speed to run with, and the contact he achieved to him.
Oh, exactly, and I think this is going to heat up a little bit on the track now. I think Ben's really going to push for that position. I mean, I'm thinking that maybe he wants that position back by Enzo, giving it up. Fair sort of run, because I do think Enzo didn't quite have the line there and has gone into Ben, but we'll see how that plays out. I was just watching a couple of corners there where Ben's really trying to push hard, so there's going to be a very good battle between these two for the last couple of laps as we come back now, as we head on to lap 13 now, and when we head back, we've got Håkon Grebstead. Sorry to jump around here. We've got Håkon just going wheel to wheel there with Carlos to take the position again off Carlos as they head up into turn 1, Alex.
Yeah, fantastic there to see those two going nose to tail as well. Side by side in front and behind. They're 2x2 Noah's Ark style. These two, and then Verhoff and Kander in front of them. Håkon hanging on to that position as Siri decides that I was calling her name as well. Side by side, they're still going through that first second. John Scholz all the while looking to patiently pounce in the background. I'll tell you what, this top 7 drivers really going tooth and nail as they're on the penultimate lap now this time around. Bill Fraser, meanwhile, he's meandering his way, well, at high speed, obviously, towards taking out yet another victory with Hendrickson now. He's got, with all that battling, he's cleared out a 3-second gap on Enzo Cantor and Ben Verhoff there, battling it out for the final step on the podium. Look at that train of cars behind them, each battling for that final spot in the top 5. plenty of action. Interesting that bump between Enzo and Ben previously. There might have been a bit of net coding because neither of them seem to be sporting any damage from it. It looked like a fair old contact too. So maybe, certainly Enzo carrying a lot of speed, but more than Ben into that corner. But maybe the old network monster got them again. Who knows? But look, that battle's certainly raging as they head now into the final corner, to the start of the final lap this time, folks, as they go by. Enzo with Ben tucked in behind. This time it's Ben forced to push over to the left and Enzo to defend. Doesn't look like he's quite got the room there to get by. We might jump, although he's showing it up the inside. Enzo defending quite well. We'll jump back to the guys behind, and it's Carlos Fenno. He's managed to use the draft there. Forces Håkon Grebstad extremely wide there, leaving him no room. And Håkon gets the better drive though, but this left-right combination here means that Fenno might have the inside run as they head down to turn 6. And I tell you what, there's a bit of contact and off goes Håkon Grebstad. He's out of that. I tell you what, that looked so tight. That was probably never going to work ultimately, neither giving either one the time of day nor the room. As now we're left with John Scholz battling it out with Carlos Fenno. Will that patience he's shown throughout serve him in good stead as we cross now to Bill Fraser, who's coming to the closing stages of his lap to take out yet another event. Let's see, we've got a bit of time left. No, Enzo and Tim I should say Ben Furhop still battling it out. No, we'll jump back up to Bill Fraser, give him his dues. He's coming to round out his final lap to take out what will be another fantastic win for him tonight here at Circuit of the Americas, Tim.
Oh, what a fantastic drive as he rounds the last corner now. And yeah, hats off to him. Beautiful drive. Led it from turn 1 and didn't let those guys behind him play havoc, and they wanted to battle, and he just took that opportunity and off he goes. Beautiful drive.
Oh, I've just watched Carlos Fenno cross the line, followed by Håkon Grips. I don't know what happened to Scholzi. He's dropped back to P8. I might see if I can drop back and see what's happened to John Scholz there. Let's see here. Where's he at? He's tucked in behind. Oh, he's done that all on his own. On the approach to the closing stages of the lap, he's let the rear go, and in his after all that patience, he's ended up costing himself a shot at the penultimate corner. He was on for P5 there, or at least a good shot at it, if not P6, and then he's dropped all the way down to P8. That's a real shame for Scholzi after really showing a cool head when those around him weren't, Tim.
Yeah, and we can tell his frustration, especially as he crossed the start-finish line. He put it straight into the wall. He knew that that wasn't a great race on, especially at the end. He didn't need to try and drive too hard to take that position. He was comfortably sitting in the 4th. He could easily just take that. But no, what a shame. Yeah. Oh, sorry, in 5th, I should say.
Yeah, it really was. I'm just going to see if I can't jump back and grab that incident with Håkon Grebstad there. Let's see if that's it. Let's see if that's the one there. I think this might be it. So this was on the final lap, if I'm not mistaken, or the second to last lap. We see Fenno go over the inside. Håkon swings right out wide. And this is where the Noah's Ark action. Good racing room there, but he's forced supremely wide there. And as they go side by side through this opening series of corners, we'll just hop on a bit of a slow-mo there. Excuse me. And there was some respectful racing room there, and then looked like Fenno just sort of might have turned. Yeah, he's turned quite early there. Håkon not really having the room there, a little bit of contact, and that was enough to unsettle the car on the edge. Real shame for Håkon there, although he did manage to come back and at least not to get past Carlos, but didn't lose too much. Probably only lost that battle for P5 in the end there. Real shame for Håkon there, but certainly they put on a great show for us nonetheless. What are these two doing now? Håkon's just giving Team Milo and Team Ovaltine a bit of airtime as he pushes his mate Russell Clark back to the pits. Nothing like helping your mate out after he's had a rough night. Gee, I hope they don't run out of incident points. My goodness. All right. I might,
That's a beautiful photo opportunity for the Ovaltine Milo combination.
yeah, I might just leave them with it as we go through the results for round 70 of Monday Night Lights at Circuit of the Americas. Once again, Bill Fraser putting on a dominant display, winning by 6 seconds. Can you believe that? I think he did something similar last time. Last time we were here, as I can hear in the background, that Ovaltine Milo synergy still happening. Tim Hendrickson, great drive, early battle that he came out on top of. Finishing in P2, fantastic drive from Tim. Enzo Cantor made to work all the way. He's finished in P3 tonight. Congratulations to Enzo. Ben Furhoff. Oh dear, I might turn those guys off because they're making so much noise. Can I turn them off? That one. There we go. Ben Furhoff finishing in P4 tonight. Fifth tonight was Carlos Fenno, who had a big battle throughout, with Håkon Grebstad finishing in sixth, with Kevin Henderson climbing the order tonight up 4 positions into 7th position tonight. P8, John Scholz ruining that final lap mistake, just one corner from the end. Bad luck to Scholzy, with Mark Kerr coming in P9, and Luke Whitten, he's managed to, well look, I've got to tell you, he only qualified in P9 and looked like he had a bit of a rough ride out there tonight, and he's managed to hang on to round out our top 10. P11 tonight was Ben Snell driving the slightly shorter version, or the shorter configuration of the Skippy, as we saw. P12 was Simon Chambers rounding out the point scorers for Monday Night Lights. Simon Dopp just missing out and really sort of hurting his chances in the season overall in P13. P14, Brad Parkin, another one to miss out on points tonight, with Russell Clark getting a little bit of help back to the pits tonight after having what would have no doubt been a pretty disappointing race for him all the way down, and rounding out our field in P15, Tim.
Yes, it's a very interesting race. It was a really good race, but we're just Russell Clark is still trying to get across the start-finish line, but we'll leave those guys there. And it was a really good race tonight. It's a very, very tight technical track, and that's what we got tonight. Some really, really tight racing, different lines by different drivers to try and work out where they could get that opportunity to get a pass. And made for some, as we saw, some interesting battles going into turn 1. So I was really excited about the racing tonight, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I agree, mate. I enjoyed the racing. I'm really pleased with the turnout we had as well. So it's great for some guys to come up and put on a show for us tonight. Speaking of the guys who put on a show, we've got a few in the green room. We'll bring them up in finishing order, as is our usual way of things. Mr. Hendrickson, Tim Hendrickson, joining myself, Alex McKellar, and Tim Awima in the Top Split TV broadcast booth.
Hello,
mate,
boys.
bit of fun tonight out there. Good result. Looked like a bit of elbows out racing early on. How did you find it out there?
Yeah, but well, mostly frustrating, really. I'm pretty sure I had the pace to catch up, or at least keep up with Bill, but mostly because of errors Enzo and Ben made, I just kind of fell back with like a 3-4 second gap, and there's no way you're gonna make that up on a track like this.
Nah, that's right. It looked like it did look like once Bill got a sniff, he was right away, and
Yeah.
he certainly had the pace to run on with it by the looks of it as well. So, but you know, that battling up front early on, that certainly was the tone of the night. There were a few battles there. What do you reckon about the nature of this circuit? I know it's a bit unpopular with some, but for mine, it represents a pretty unique challenge, and certainly does lead to the opportunity for some good battles at the same time.
It weren't really battles. The early laps I barely went aggressive. It was mostly just me avoiding people, just trying to stay back as far as possible, so they just drove their normal line. But obviously that didn't work. And the track, you need to be a fan of it. It's pretty much a hot lappers track, because battles aren't that possible unless you just send it into turn 1 or something.
Yeah,
Nah, not a fan.
yeah, fair enough. It sends. I said earlier in the broadcast, perhaps some of the Skippy drivers spoke with their feet this week with participation down quite a bit. Although, very
Yeah.
very pleased to say that the Monday Night Lights regulars have come out and put on a fantastic display once again. Listen, for Team Orange and or Blue and Orange, mate, is there anyone like you give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh God, to you guys, of course, for putting on an incredible show as per usual.
Thanks, mate. Thanks once again for your support, mate. We look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks.
See you later, boys.
All right, next, thank you to Tim, of course. Next up, we've got Mr. Enzo Kander, who came home in third tonight after quite a bit of exciting racing by the looks. Enzo, Alex McKellar, and Tim Awema here in the Top Split TV commentary booth. Look, you certainly had a bit of action out there tonight. Looked like quite a bit from top to tail there, mate. Did you enjoy yourself?
Hi guys, yeah, I enjoyed it, but yeah, I was having a fun talking with Tim because I was saying to him that I was faster than him, and I took that slow down because that was the first lap in which I was clear without him in front of me taking wrong lines in the snake. So, so he said, "Oh, really? Oh, you were faster." So we are drivers, and if I say to you that I'm faster than you, you surely answer me that it's not true, and you are faster than me. This is a common thing with when drivers talk each other. So the first important thing is that never race here with this weather. So I missed. I did a good first qualifying lap, but I completely missed the second. I could do 43.5, and I could get the pole or the first 2 or 3 positions, and the race will be very different from that. But we had a very hard battle with the team and Ben, and some little contacts, but I think that there were only hard racing. And yeah, what I was feeling was that I was a little bit faster than Ben and Tim, and I think I was the only one on the track who could try to catch Bill because he had almost the same pace, but well. Tim and Ben both decides to battle on the track, and so we lose time. And again, I took a slow down because there was the first time I had the track clear in front of me without Tim. And the reason is that Tim breaks in the second corner of the snake every time. That is the corner in which I never break. So I did 5 or 6 times the same wrong break there. And the first time I could do it in my style, so without breaking, I lost a little bit my line, and I took a slow down. So it was my mistake, but provoked by what I said before.
Yeah, mate. I pick up on one thing you said before about the banter between race drivers, and I think you're right. The day that you don't think you're quicker than the guy in front of you, there's a day you probably give it away. So good to see that the rivalry is certainly out there on track, mate. So thank you once again for joining us. Look, great result there, at least in P3. It's always great to see you down here, Enzo. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, surely. First of all, sorry because I wasn't here the last week, the last Monday, but I was working. And yeah, I have to say thanks to my team, Trasmaster Mivano, my team manager Fabio Mantellini, and all my teammates. And thanks to you too, and to all the drivers in this league, because they are all fast, clean, and fair.
Excellent, Enzo. Great to hear from the likes of yourself that, yeah, we do hope to put on a good show, and it's always great to have you part of it, mate. So look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks, and thanks again.
I hope, I wish. See ya, guys.
There you go, Tim. I thought, like I said, the standout bit there was that the guys always, like I said, you're going to give it away the day you don't think you're faster than the guy in front of you. But great to see that friendly rivalry is certainly there, Tim.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you know that Enzo's really going to put it to Tim Hendrickson all the time and Tim vice versa. And that's good to see. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair to Enzo, excuse me, short of Bill Fraser with a 43.2 as his best lap, Enzo wasn't that far behind. He had a 43.3. So, he was certainly no slouch out there tonight. And there's a lot in what he said that battling did certainly dictate. Oh, I just saw him take a nice cut through the second to last quarter there on the replay. But the battling certainly plays a big part in this, and I spoke about it a few times early on with Ben Furhoff sort of trying to put some pressure on, and it ultimately costed them the gap. And then Enzo, to Bill, I should say, and then Enzo, as we're watching here in the early stages, fighting really hard on his own to get back in touch. But yeah, battling can play a big part in the final result, both in and against you in terms of where you finish up. So yeah, great to see Enzo here once again, and we've got one person left here in the broadcast booth. We've got Mr. Ben Snell now joining us here. Ben, welcome to the Top Split TV commentary booth with Alex McKellar and Tim Awema here, mate. I noticed you driving the alternate configuration of the Skip Barber tonight, pending some early race action, mate. What happened for you out there tonight?
How you going, guys? I tell you what, if I had any luck, it's bad. That's how I'm going at the moment.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you were in it for all money early on, and then I saw an incident. I think it was even on lap one. It might have been with Carlos Fenno, who ended up in P5 after a race to start to finish battle with Hawkon and Skolzy. But it certainly didn't look to go your way. But I didn't see you lose your nose there. Was there something later on in the race that caused that to happen?
Oh yeah. So obviously I got turned around at the start by Carlos, but he did PM me afterwards and apologise. So that's nice of him, I guess. But then as I passed Simon, he missed his braking marker and rear-ended me. And then as I passed someone else, I rear-ended them and lost my nose. So then I had aircon after that. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, it looked like you needed some extra warm socks on, that's for sure, mate. Sounds like quite an eventful evening, nonetheless. You are still in the points, and I think from memory you're in P2 in the championship at the moment. So every point counts from here, and at least that's something you can take away from tonight's event, mate. But before we let you go, does anyone like to give a shout out to?
Just you guys, like usual, doing really well on the new channel. And thanks to everybody that rocks up. At least we had a split this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks to you for your ongoing support, mate. Much appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
There you go, Tim. That's our interviews done for this evening, and I'll tell you what, our predictions have come fairly solidly true here tonight. You and I both picked Mr. Fraser as our potential winner, and we had Enzo probably not too far behind. Oh no, I think we said Tim Hendrickson. So we've covered our bases pretty well there with P1 and 2, don't you think?
Yeah, we did quite well. And I'm just looking at the form of recent drives, I thought that looked like the perfect first and second, and that's actually turned out that way. So really good night.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic night once again. Thank you to everyone that turned up tonight on track. We had a bit of a slump or a lull last week, and I was afraid that this week with this track and configuration we might see the same. But great to see the regulars out in force once again and putting on a great display. But for you, Mr. Awema, what's coming up in the week of the Golden Stig?
I think the Golden Stig's going to have a week off, and he'll just be back on Friday night for Friday Night Race Club, and he'll be enjoying some racing then, and maybe a Saturday night. So quiet week for me this week. What about yourself, Alex?
Well, mate, you can find me over at Top Split TV on Twitch. I'll be doing similar things with Friday Night Race Club and the Big Bathurst event on the Saturday. Depends on how I feel during the week, whether or not we do a bit of variety during the week as well. I've been doing a few different series at the moment, so looking just sort of working up the wherewithal to put it live up and stream on Top Split TV. But of course, you can find us over there on Twitch on Top Split TV, and also Mr. Awema there at Robius_TV on Twitch as well. So, but that about winds us up for this evening, folks. we'll be back next Monday, of course. Where are we off to next Monday, Tim?
We're off to Spa, classic pits next week. So that's going to be a great race. We'll easily get our 2-3 splits there next week.
Yes, unlike the previous couple of weeks, Spa is a very popular circuit, so I expect to see the Skippy drivers and the Skippy world out in force. Fantastic flowing track and a lot of fun. And I seem to recall last time we were there, Tim, we had sort of 9 cars deep for most of the race. So looking forward to that one immensely. So thank you everyone for joining us here on track tonight. Thank you everyone in the chat as well. Great to see so many of our regulars there. We really do appreciate the support. So, but until next week, on behalf of Tim Awema, I've been your host, Alex McKellar, and I will say ciao for now.